Here's an update on the Vivobarefoot Magna Sedona Sage that I got about 3 months ago. I've been wearing them more seriously for about 1 month and used them quite heavily the last 2 weeks when I was on vacation in Germany and Croatia. I had a commenter ask for them to be seen on my actual feet, and so here they are, all their glory. You'll notice I've looped the ears and I tie them around the front tab because for me at least they're quite long. So I sit at about a 47.5, but they only go up by integer values, 47, 48 for sizes. And so I went a little bit larger, and that actually proved out to be good. I'll comment that on in a second. But first, I tie them. You can see that when I tighten them, I purposefully fold in the top sock because, as I've commented on other videos, it's a little bit too much when you're wearing just normal size socks, at least for my feet. But that's a good thing for those with larger feet or I guess taller feet for that matter, so that they do in fact fit, not too tight. So it's not too much of a problem for me. We'll do what we did last time. We'll just start from the bottom. Wear-wise, I've been wearing them on all sorts of different surfaces, airport carpets, concrete, jagged rocks, and some rocky terrain in Croatia, and they've held up quite nicely. This is a great material they've been using for the sole, and I purposefully stick to this sole for outsole for Vivobarefoot because they provide just a little bit more cushioning. And yes, it's harder rubber, but it's just enough for me to have just a tad more cushioning when I'm walking. And I only use them for walking and hiking, not for running. Okay, a big concern always on these pairs is any sort of separation that comes around here. And besides in this area, you can see it's somewhat separating. That's just part of the deal here, and they're getting better at them, better with the Magna trail by having some sort of intermediary glue that goes around this crease. I wish they would do it with this, or even better to have it threaded or stitched on like they have. I think the Escape boot that they released a couple months ago. It's been fantastic. So the surface, the leather here went through some beating on the rocky climbs that I went on, and I think it's on the other shoe where it caught, but you can barely see it. I mean, it's going to get damaged, right, if you're walking on rocky terrain. And again, you can see some splitting, just a little bit of crease there, but it's nothing too much. The leather holds up nicely, and it still looks nice. I actually haven't cleaned these yet or treated them yet, but I likely will once it starts getting a little wet. Okay, the rest is all the same. It's held up real nice on the inside. No issues with the laces, no issues with the sock. Maybe hopping over to a more subjective review here with the fit. These are a little bit bigger for my feet compared to conventional shoes, right? So this is my heel, and some people might say, hey, these are just a little bit too big, man. This space, I didn't notice at all jumping up rocks and jumping down rocks. You'd think that you'd have this toe jamming effect, but it doesn't happen. And in fact, having this much space between my toes is so nice when you're traveling in trains, airplanes, walking around. You always have this freedom in your toes as opposed to being cramped. I mean, here's an example. My go-to shoe in the past for traveling has been something like this, and there's just noticeable difference, especially here with toes. Here it's fine, but once you start going up, it starts getting too tight. So these have been fantastic. I'm trying to think of anything else in terms of review or things I've noticed or bothered me. I think, if anything, either reduce the length of these laces because they're a little absurd in their length, or provide half sizes, or do maybe something a little bit tighter here in the sock. But to be honest, there was never a moment in 2 weeks of wearing these things, especially on one day where I woke up at 6 and wasn't off my feet until about 9 in the evening, where I didn't feel like I was in pain or in stress. The entire time I felt real comfortable. So I'm real happy with this pair. I can't wait to do another update of these. Definitely the point of concern would be some stitching. Would be the interface here, but if they can somehow do stitching for a non-waterproof pair, and maybe some membrane or some sort of glue for a waterproof pair, I think that'd be the winner there. The last thing, I guess, speaking of waterproof, they still hold up quite nice in light rain. In these creases where you're going to have more wear, they do tend to soak up more water, but they dry quickly, and even in a downpour, they're still going to hold up. They do not soak up like something like this that's a canvas surface that just gets drenched and clings onto the water. These stay nice and fresh. So if you pair this with a merino wool sock or a wool sock, you get no stink. This doesn't stink at all. So I guess that's another subjective thing. They still stay quite fresh. You're 2 weeks on the go. So hope you like the review, and see you guys around.